Hi there, and welcome to another exciting episode of Wave the Brush with me, your host, Kris, aka Mini Wargaming Kris, aka The Name Butcher, aka I don't know, I've got no more AKs. Wave the Brush, the most informative 120 minutes on the internet on the wargaming lifestyle. We'll talk about painting, terrain, conversions, and just about everything under the sun. Usually it is a whole lot of what's under the sun. And sometimes we learn something. Something about painting anyway. And so I can see a lot of regulars are already joining us today. I can see Knitfink. Hello, everyone. Hello, Knitfink. John Gore. Hello. Jim White. Hello, everyone. May this day bring you joy. May bring you joy. I like that. Spite you. Oh, snap. Gotta work early. Got my errands done early. And now I'm here for Wave the Brush early. Howdy all. Well, welcome. Spite you. G squared. Hey, monkeys. I may not actually stay here. Now, FWIW. I don't know. What's FWIW? For when I was... I don't know. I got nothing. Ishyabi. Hey, Kris, welcome back. Hope you had an awesome time at Adepticon. Good day, monkey folks. Hope all are well with everyone. Best regards, Sammy C. Greenleaf Terrain, word monkeys. Word Adam. Word to your mother. Tolo, take off, eh? Papa Nurgle, howdy, Kris. Ready to be serenaded by your sweet velvety voice. Velvety? The velvet fog. Dr. Williams, hoy hoy. Oh. Hoy hoy. Tolo, keep it down. Trying to play The Division while listening. The Division. That's that new Tom Clancy one. That one looked pretty good, actually. William Payne, yay, after months of not being able to watch, I'm able to once again. Watch once again. Lord Krabby at work, watching. So he's going to get lots of work done, I can see. Lord Krabby at work, watching. Plasma Plays, there's a name I haven't read in a bit. Hello, everyone. How are we this fine Saturday? I think everybody is feeling pretty darn good. The weather is starting to slowly warm back up. We've been getting snow in this area quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. But I don't think anybody's, been too traumatized by it. Plasma Plays, Tolo, how you liking The Division? And would you recommend it? Spite you, I would recommend it. I'd recommend it. You'd recommend it? He'd recommend it? Clumsy Juggler, here he is. Hello, everybody. Spite you, oh snap, it's starting, and I get to see the Rogue One trailer again. Sweet. Rogue One trailer, it does look pretty darn good, doesn't it? I'm actually kind of excited to see exactly what they do with that. I mean, I like the idea that they're giving us these kind of background stories to these kind of moments that we know from the main lore of the story of the movies. I like the idea that we're getting to see how exactly the Rebel Alliance got the plans, and I would assume the way this movie ends is them handing off the plans to Princess Leia, and then she's taking off in her blockade runner and making a run for it, right? And then that would take us into episode 4, right? So I would assume that. I mean, that's just an assumption. Lazy Monkey, where are the Bothans in the Rogue One trailer? That's what I want. There's no Bothans. No. It's Return of the Jedi that many Bothans died. This is episode 4. This is before episode 4. Ahunera? Ihunera? Beep made it. I don't even know if I said the name right. Matthew Adamy, Mao, Kris, Mao. D Mao. Mao. Danish artist, greetings. Lazy Monkey, Kris, FWIW, maybe for what it's worth. For what it's worth. Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, G squared. For what it's worth. There we go. Eric 13, good day everyone, good day. Kurt Krishon at Lazy Monkey. The Bothans stole the plans to the second Death Star, not the first. Yeah, see? Kurt knows his stuff. Plasma Plays, Kris. I hope you can keep my sanity while I work on my English essay. English? Spinglish? Where are we? John Gore, I just played the XCOM for the first time. It is just a watered down version of 40K. Well, yes and no. I mean, kinda. But XCOM is really, really good. And the original XCOM was really, really good, you know, on DOS and everything like that. Like early XCOM, the first XCOM. And you picked your little dude and you moved him and, you know, he could see and he could shoot and stuff like that. And you got action points and stuff. And then one of the better 40K games to come out was called Chaos Gate. And that copied exactly XCOM's engine. And that was an awesome game. That was a lot of fun. The soundtrack to that one was just perfect. If anybody want to hear really, like if you guys want to hear some good battle music while you're playing 40K, do a search on Chaos Gate soundtrack. And yeah, awesome music. It just gets you like right into the whole 40K spirit of things. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. What's everyone working on? I don't know. What is everyone working on? Clayton Tate. Hey, everyone. There he is. Clayton Tate. Eldar. Dr. Williams. Eldar Fire Prism. Cool. Jim's working on a Color Sergeant Kell. Spike to you. Yeah, the Star Wars Anthology series. Going to be a Han Solo one, too. Yeah, Han Solo one, and I believe a Boba Fett one as well. That's going to be fun. Those are going to be fun. I don't know if they'll be good movies, but it'll be fun. Maybe. I don't know. Unless, of course, I completely butcher it, and then it's not fun, and it's just painful. Garrett Thomas Lord, working on a fake Praetorian Guard as militia for 40K. Very cool. Matthew Adami. Why do I always want to say the Adam part before the Matthew? I don't know. Did you see the huge pirate game at Adepticon? I did see it. One fella had asked me to be part of his crew, and I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And then unfortunately, I just couldn't, get away. We ended up going out to dinner and stuff like that, and so I didn't get the chance to play the game. But I did see everybody playing, and I didn't stick around too much to kind of catch the ins and outs of it all. Mainly because I didn't want to get press ganged or shanghaied or whatever they call it, and yeah, so. It looked like a lot of fun, and the fun part is that there was people there dressed as pirates, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was awesome. That's like getting right into the the old spirit of things. I thought that was really, really cool. But no, I didn't get a chance to play it though. It looked like fun though. It looked like an awesome time though. Eric 13 working on a Mars War Convocation painting dune crawlers. Very cool. Ahunera, you try. Ahunera? Ahunera? Hunera? Hunera. Ahunera. I don't know. I got nothing. The Bad Edge, there he is. Afternoon all. Wargren. Good day, ladies and gentle Kris. Gentle Kris? Am I a gentle Kris? I don't know. I try to be. I try to be gentle. Sometimes it's just, no. Matthew Dammy, painting my third rabbi. Your third rabbi. George Hopkins. Kris, have you ever painted the Troll Bloods from Hordes? I was just started some, and they were really, really fun. The only ones I've painted, I started to paint for, was our local press ganger, Aiden. And he gave me a really fun conversion to do. Was sculpt a Judge Dredd helmet onto this guy. What is it? The Grimm Brothers or Brothers Grimm, whatever. Anyway, they're little duders, and I have yet to finish it. But yeah, he's got a little Judge Dredd helmet on. It's kind of hard to see the light, but let's see. Look at it. It's all blurry anyway. But yeah, one of those projects that's ongoing. I do like Troll Bloods though. Troll Bloods are very, very cool. And yeah, they were one faction that I would have gone. It had had there not been so many Horde players or Trouble players here. I went with Mercs mainly because nobody played Mercs, and so I said, wow, I'll start Mercs then. And then, yeah, that's how pretty much it started for me for War Machine was, I'll just, because nobody else was playing them, right? Dr. Williams, at Kris. I've been making some life reflection as of late and found that the lack of Swedish Chef has really taken its toll on my emotional health. What can we do? Well, I gotta get the caution right. I mean, like it's not gonna be funny if it's just me sitting there. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I mean, well, it might be funny, but I don't think it'd be funny. I think I need the chef hat just obscuring, just my eyeballs and nose, and then I need the big orange mustache. And I'm not gonna dye this thing orange because God knows how that'll look afterwards. And yeah, I need like this chef outfit, And of course, the Swedish Chef always makes a mess, whatever he's doing, and I have to make a mess. I'm not making a mess in my office, so I need space to make a mess. And that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it, dog. Eric 13, what was the name of the pirate game? I can't remember the name of the pirate game, but I think the scenario was called Fistful of Seamen. I kid you not. Look up the Adepticon roster of games. And that's what it was. I can't remember what the game's called, but yeah. I think that was the scenario's called. Because I don't think the game's called that. And I realized, yeah, it's, laced with innuendo. Old Gamer EWM. Hey, Kris, what is your next conversion project? Have a great weekend. What's my next conversion project? Jeez, I don't even know. I mean, like, it's like doing like a tutorial or something like that? I would like to show how to do like the art scale Marines, or even doing like a Centurion art scale. I was thinking of doing that because I know like I had painted the Marine, an art scale Marine. I had shown painting him, but I didn't show how I made him. And so I was thinking about, showing how he's made, right? So, yeah. Possibly. Or there might be or it might be Gorka Morka related, or Orky kind of conversion. I don't know. I've never done really much Orc conversion stuff because, I mean, like, I've said it a million times. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do Orc conversions, and my take on it would probably be somewhere in between a messy and neat kind of look. Unfortunately, I get kind of logical when I'm trying to work out conversions and stuff, and I can't just kind of slap rivets and plates and armor and stuff like that onto a guy and expect it to look cool. I mean, it's not the way my brain works. Although some people, they can do it, and I'll look at it and go, that looks great. How'd you do that? And they say, I just stuck a bunch of things on there. And I mean, so I don't have that capacity for orky kind of thoughts. John Gore, by the way, Kris, recently saw the video you did on the Molten Bloodthirster, making me want to collect corn and do the whole Molten army. Yeah, why not? I mean, we get inspired by other people's work, and we want to emulate that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Give it a shot, or Bloodleather rather. Yeah, no, I mean, give it a shot first, right? And see if it's something you want to tackle, and then do a whole army of it, and then then you'll really know. If you can do one or two models or do a unit like in that fashion, then you'll know if you can go the rest of the way and do the army. But if it's taking too long, you're not happy with results, or anything like that, then yeah, you probably want to rethink it. Gray Death Angel, hey everyone, finally a school quarter where I can watch live. Does anyone know a commission service that will do the assembly work? Love to save time for painting since I got school, work, and play cycles. Usually any kind of commission service will charge you more for the assembly. Especially if you want the assembly done right, of course. And if you want different poses, if you want every model to look different, or anything like that. Yeah, they're going to charge you more. But I mean, if you don't care and charging you more is fine, then I'm not sure which painting services out there do offer that. And so if anybody knows, anybody can help Gray Death Angel out here with some commission services that'll handle everything from assembly on up, shoot them a message or shoot a link, in the comments here, because let's help them out. Despite you at Kris, you might try to say hordes more clearly. Gave me the wrong idea. Hordes or hordes? Hordes, man, hordes. 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 Some people can't believe that the pirate game, that's what the scenario was called. That's what it was called. Look up the itinerary for Adepticon. You'll see the list of games, and Matthew Dammy. Fistful of Semen, blogspot.com. Also, the game is called Fistful of Semen. The game is called Fistful of Semen? Jeez. I don't know where you go from there. Like, where do you go from there? What are you going to do? I'm going to go play Fistful of Semen. All right, buddy. You go have a good time with that. I mean, like, I don't know. Hunter, I would like to see Mini Wargaming cover that game. Yeah, we could cover the game, we just wouldn't be able to say the title. I mean, we could, but we'd have to keep a straight face. Danish artist, a question. Do the Dark Eldars use similar technology as the Eldars, considering that they were Eldar once? I've been under the impression that no, they don't use the same technology. Okay? Reason being, okay, people are probably going, no, they're Eldar. Eldar's the same. Eldar was, Eldar's Eldar, and it's all the same. But no, I would disagree, because Dark Eldar don't have psychics, right? There's no psychics in Dark Eldar. It takes psychics to manipulate Wraithbone. None of Dark Eldar technology is made with Wraithbone. Everything about Craftworld Eldar is made with Wraithbone. So their technologies are incredibly different. Now, what fuels Dark Eldar engines? I have no idea. I've not really delved that deeply into the lore and the background stuff of that. For Eldar, they always describe it as it's the power plants are siphoning off warp energy, and so in the core of like a Falcon grav tank is like a miniature little singularity of warp energy, and it's powering all the other rest of the stuff. And so it's all warp energy that's powering everything. That's the way I've come to understand it. But that's why for Eldar, Eldar technology is a dead end, because their technology apparently has not improved since their war with the Necrons, since the war with the Old Ones. Because they were made by the Old Ones, they were just like a basically just kind of badunk, and that was it. They're an evolutionary dead end, because they don't know how to evolve, because they were just made into existence by the Old Ones, and so they don't know how to evolve, I would assume, right? Unless of course they steal it from humans, or unless of course you have a storyline of Eldar and humans commingling, and starting like a new race, halfling race, or a half race of elf humans, kind of Lord of the Rings ish, but or even D&D, but yeah. So Danish artists, I don't think Dark Eldar and Eldar have the same technology, because again, Wraithbone. Everything they describe, everything that regular Craftworld Eldar use is made from Wraithbone. It takes psychics to manipulate Wraithbone, and Dark Eldar don't have psychics, and they don't use Wraithbone. So their technology is different, right? Does that sound like a sound argument towards that? Jim White, episode 114, innuendo starts at 13 after. The innuendo right away. Papa Nurgle, that's some A1 marketing right there. Yeah, exactly, because it gets you talking about it and laughing about it, because everybody who reads it, right, sees it as what it's for, right? We're talking about seamen. We're talking about men at sea. We're talking about sailors, right? Of course, why didn't they just use the fistful of sailors? I have no idea. Why has it got to be a fistful? Why, like, a fistful? I mean, what does that even mean? Was that a nautical term at some point? A fistful of semen? I can't see that being the thing, but hey, who knows, right? Ronnie Sugden, love the scenario name. Eric's Coin, there he is. Hey, monkeys. Hey, Kris. Jacob McCaffrey. Hey, Kris. Hey, Jacob. HC. The name just blew past me. Where'd it go? There it is. Nope. Blew past me again. HC Leo Shi. Hello, everybody. Hello. Larry Vari. Am I saying that right? Oh, I'm getting crazy my old age. Larry Vari. Yeah. Hi, Kris. Hi. Larry Vari. Old Gamer EWM. I loved the Necron Lord conversion you did for the Fate of Fayum. He was totally sweet. Love your work. Well, thank you. And that one, that one was done relatively quickly. I was doing it just initially as, kind of Matt wanted a conversion done real quick. And I said, well, why don't I film it so that, at least we're killing two birds with one stone kind of thing. And he says, could you get it done real quick? And I said, I'm pretty sure I can. And yeah, so it all worked out in the end as far as that was concerned. Everybody really kind of liked it. It was fairly basic kind of paint job on him. And the conversion wasn't too heavy, but it was enough to give, him some character, right? And of course, everybody really, really liked him. And so it worked out. So, yeah. Papa Nurgle. From now on, we shall accept Kris as the true lord of all seamen. Ah, man.
Kris, I don't listen to your show normally, but I'm not sure what's happening over there.
Well, because Josh is talking to me here. The scenario at Adepticon, the big pirate ship game, it was called A Fistful of Seamen.
Oh, right. Didn't they add another name to that, too?
They might have. I don't know. But anyway, so now every course, whenever we get onto some innuendo stuff or whatever on the show, nobody lets it go. And so we are stuck in seamen. Spike you. Wait, what? Kris did a Necron Lord conversion? Yeah, I did a Necron Lord conversion a while ago. It was for the Fate of Fayum campaign. It was about a year and a half ago, maybe? A year ago? Anyway, if you go digging through the vault, you'll find it. I did a conversion. It's basically a Necron Lord, and he's got like Tyranid bits on him. He was supposed to be like this crazy kind of Necron Lord, and he had killed like a bunch of Tyranids, and so yeah, it was really fun. It was a fun conversion, different, Frail Jail? I don't know. I offer commissions for assembly. Well, there you go. I can't remember who it was that was asking about commissions, but there you go. Dr. Williams, Den of Imagination. Den of Imagination does it too. Matthew Dammy, Blue Table Painting, does assembly only. Yeah. Ronnie Sugden, I guess a boatload of semen was too on the nose. I guess. Too on the nose. Sam Potts at Kris, any ideas for wet blending? Looking to do a good transition for colors on animal fur. Well, animal fur, doing like, I have a tutorial on doing fur, wet blending. It was early on in Quick Tips, so it's probably almost 2 years ago that I did this video. I might have shown another one since then, but I do have videos in the vault on this, doing wet blending on fur. And it's relatively straightforward. For example, like a wolf, like the Space Wolves, you start off with your mid-tone brown, and then I like to, put in a streak of like dark brown or even black for that matter. And then you have your base tone again, and then you just kind of blend, and depending on how far you want to push the transition, if you want to have the transition come way down, or if you only want to have it just a kind of a very subtle transition between the two, it's all entirely up to you. And so it's relatively straightforward. You're better off using some of your bigger base coating brushes for it, so that you can cover the area. But again, you're better off keeping the brush somewhat perpendicular to the surface. It doesn't have to be perfectly. It just at a slight angle, about a 45-degree angle, really, to the surface, as you work the bristles across, because you want the bristles to fall within the details. Otherwise, it's just kind of like overbrushing, which can also work out for you as well. But yeah, so when you're wet blending, fur and working on the color transition, yeah, I usually typically start off with the mid-tone, and then you can shade up and shade down, or highlight up, shade down, right? And that's about the easiest way to kind of go about it. Unless, of course, you want to start off with the brightest color and then just work your way all the way down through the shades, which is easier than trying to start off with your darkest tone and build the color up. Okay, when you're blending all the colors, you're better off starting with your brightest tone or the mid-tone and, go one down, shade down, and highlight up, or start with your highlight, like your brightest color, and shade it all the way down. That's easier than trying to go from your darkest color all the way up. Mainly because you're going to try and build up too much paint onto the model, trying to build up the solid bright color, just because it just doesn't quite work out that way a lot of times. But Sam, hopefully that kind of helps, kind of get you thinking in the right direction. Again, it's really about brush position and allowing those bristles, when you are working your brush strokes across, that you're allowing those bristles to fall within the recesses of the details as you're working your way across. So hopefully that helps. Sam Pot's kind of timid about it. Well, don't be timid about it. Just give it a try. Grab an old model if you're not entirely that comfortable, or even a piece of plastic card and just prime it, and then just and just play with the color. Just play, just experiment. Eric 13, their slogan is our game is a handful. Our game is a handful. Oh man, yeah, we're still on this. Despite you should drink some coffee. Yes, I need a sip of coffee here. Throat's getting dry. Everybody's talking about all this crazy crap. Dr. Pepper Machine at Kris, what do you think about GW's commitment to the Middle Earth SBG for the next 4 years and the decision to make all the future model releases from Forge World? I think that's probably the best thing to do. Mainly because, the head studio doesn't seem to have the time or inclination to support the smaller games that they produce. Hence why they, shut off Specialist Games, right? I mean, they ended Specialist Games, which people love. I mean, people still love those games, and they still play them today. They still play Epic, Battlefield Gothic, Blood Bowl, Necromunda, Inquisitor. The people still play those games. And people still play Lord of the Rings, even though, yes, Lord of the Rings doesn't sell, but because, it's kind of a fixed universe. It's kind of like Blood Bowl, where you only have the teams, right? And it's kind of hard to introduce new things. Or Battlefield Gothic, where you have all the races already taken care of in the spaceship game. So where do you expand from that point, right? And so it's basically, once it's gone complete, it's like, well, it's complete now, so let's just cast it off and, concentrate on stuff that we can keep just adding stuff to. And that's why you have, like in Space Marines in 40K, you have Space Marines within Space Marines. You have all these different Space Marine tanks. You have, oh man, just all these dumb things they just keep adding onto the lines, And of course, Warhammer 40,000 is the big boy, and that is their bread and butter, and so why not take care of that, right? But, yeah, I think it's kind of cool that they're going to keep, Lord of the Rings going. Sure, why not? Because, I mean, from what I understand, it's a solid rule set. The models are cool, right? And, so many people love Lord of the Rings. So, why not keep it going? Why not keep the support open for that? And eventually, you can introduce new models or new resculpts or, things like that. And, yeah. African wise man. The time daylight savings got me again. Oh well, still made it. What's up, monkeys and Monkey King? Nothing. Just sitting here talking about painting, wet blending, and of course, a fistful. Clayton Tate. It's the number of sailors you can hold in your hands. I don't know about that one, Clayton. Jim White. Admiral Bellows sails forth in a group of monkey sailors swabbing the models with thin paints is a picture I wish I could paint. Yeah, that would be kind of fun. Because I can totally see a bunch of little monkeys swabbing the deck. Swabbing the poop deck. Clumsy juggler. Fistful could be referring to a handful of miniatures. Yeah, I would assume that. Because that's the safest to assume. Matthew Davey. Fistful of semen. The pirates are coming. Danish artist. I guess the Dark Elders' fuel is pain and suffering of their slaves. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Like, are they feeding off that energy the same way Eldar feed off, the warp energy, right? And so, our Dark Eldar feeding off the pain, and that's what fuels all their engines. Lee, what fuels Dark Eldar technology? Like a jet bike. What do you picture is in that power plant?
It's really early. But,
Catch him off guard.
No.
See, Lee's starting to smoke in here now. Lee's thinking hard.
Well, they have the whole fueled by pain thing.
Yeah, they got powered by pain? No, fueled by pain.
So make it
Pleasure from pain? No.
something pain.
Something from pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like psychic crystal collecting.
Right, but the Dark Eldar are not psychic. But they do get this. They get this pleasure from pain thing. So what is that, right? So it must be psychic, right? Or say the remnants of
by endorphins.
Or they're just fueled by endorphins, right? But like, what do you imagine is in their bikes? Because like with Eldar technology, right? Because they have psychics, they have the bone singers. The bone singers work the wraith bone.
Yeah.
Dark Eldar don't have wraith bone because they don't have psychics. And it's often described as warp energy is in the core of the power plants of like Falcon Grav tanks and things like that. It's warp energy, right? It just siphons off warp energy, and that's what powers everything. But what powers Dark Eldar technology? Is it more primitive? Is it more advanced? Is it different?
It might be the same, just focused more on the pain.
More on the pain aspect?
Pain psychic thing?
The pain, psychic pain?
Yeah.
Sure, I can buy that. I mean, I'm not delved too deeply into Dark Eldar background, so
I haven't even had my coffee yet, so...
hitting you with a real deep subject like that? Yeah.
Oh.
What's in Dark Eldar power plants? I don't know. Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, so Danish artist, it's a good question. And I mean, we can sit here and speculate till our faces are blue, but...
Like mine?
Yeah, like Lee's. Like Lee's face is turning blue as he's thinking really hard. Captain Random. Hey there, Kris and the monkeys. Sitting here listening to the stream whilst painting my Chaos Army with my sister. Very cool. Plasma, please. The Lord of Seamen has risen. I don't know about that one. I don't think we'll be using that one. Plasma. Ronnie Sugden, kind of random. You should use a paintbrush to paint, not your sister. Razzie? I don't know. Hi, Kris. First time here and already loving it. Greetings from Poland. Well, welcome. I'm going to say it's Razzie? I'll say Razzie. Either way, I know I'm saying it wrong, but... Bad Edge. Episode 114, Stuck in Semen. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is right now. Is because, I mean, we can't escape this topic right now. We haven't even gotten to the emails yet. We're already we're already a quarter into the show here, and haven't even touched an email yet. But yeah, we're mired in it. We're just like it's like a quagmire of semen. Fragile NikaWorkshop.com for commission. Completely forgot to mention my website. Yeah, there we go. Jamgar, retarder for life. Not retarder, just slow. George Hopkins, Kris, teaching my wife to paint. Any tips? Patience. Patience is really the first one. Patience. If you don't feel like you're getting it right away, don't be discouraged. Just try and keep at it. Keep at it. persistence, right?
Stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness is definitely one of those things that you should bear in mind. And play with the paint. Play with the paint. Now, when I say play with the paint, I mean like put it onto the palette, okay? Because you should be taking the paint from your paintbrush or from the paint pot, putting it to your palette, and then thinning it down a little and seeing how water interacts with the paint. See how thinner or like medium interacts with the paint. See how lots of thinner, how too little bit, how straight from the pot. You know what I mean? And see how the paint flows and see how it dries, and you know what I mean? And it requires a bit of playing, but otherwise, you kind of have to play with the color. And again, it's just patience. It's just, very, 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 very few people in this planet are going to pick up a paintbrush, sit down with a load of paint, grab a model, and paint a masterpiece their first try. I've not heard of anybody doing this, so I cannot, say that it can happen. But I mean, probability says it could happen, so I'll say, there's a probability out there. But nobody picks these paintbrushes up and is immediately a master at painting miniatures the first time they do it. Nobody. And people who are really, really great at this stuff, who you see like on Crystal Brush and you see on websites, and they got beautiful, beautiful paint jobs, it's because they spend hours, hundreds of hours, painting those miniatures. And we're talking about spending hundreds of hours on something this big, right? Hundreds of hours. Like, think of it, hundreds of hours. So don't be discouraged. And just take patience with yourself and, with somebody who's trying to teach you something. Have patience. Just patience. All we need is patience and love. Jim White, I like Tolo's last comment for the show title. What was Tolo's last comment? I'm not retarded, just slow. Yeah, we like that one. Are we voting on that? Are we taking votes now? Holy man, these comments just come flying by. African Wise Man. Hey, Kris, can we also send you emails not for reading on the show? Got a question I want to ask, but it's not really a Way of the Brush related. Yes, of course. But just in the beginning of the email or in the title, you can ask you can title the email, but then just say not for WTB. Sure, why not? Because I like getting emails, and I respond to some people's emails privately, and so not usually, but because usually everybody sends for Way the Brush stuff, and but yeah, you guys send me an email, feel free. Tar pit of semen? No. Despite you, I'm watching the stream too much and not painting. I know, and the thing is like, I could just as easily do this like as a podcast. I could just sit here and just, and just talk, right? And I could read your questions and read your comments, and like when early episodes of this show, for anybody who's been watching from the beginning, knows that like there used to be this kind of demo session to the show, and that's kind of gone the way of the dodo. But we could bring it back, but I'd have to have something pre-established beforehand, and I don't have anything established right now. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I should just turn these into podcasts, seeing as how pretty much I'm just sitting here talking, right? Unless, of course, I cut out the parts where I'm showing, a model to the camera or anything like that. Oh, plus, too, the emails, though. The emails have a visual element, right? Because, when people send in pictures, and then, boom, like, we got something to look at. Yeah. So, you know what? Never mind. That whole thing I was talking about for the last 2 minutes, never mind. I don't know what's going on here. It's easy to learn how to paint with hordes, armies, orcs, tyranids. You learn your skills on your boys or grots and grunts, and then focus your skills on your warriors, knobs, and vehicles. Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to go. Gray Death Angel, hundreds of hours on one miniature, time well spent. Not good for an army build, though. No. And a lot of people who are, really great painters and stuff like that, that's pretty much their hobby. I don't think they do a lot of gaming outside of, the hobby. It's just strictly painting. Myself, I mean, I love to paint, and, that's a big part of the hobby for me, but I also love the game too. I mean, and I play various games, and so there's all sorts of information rattling around in here, and it's all sorts of, and it's just not enough time in the day. Plus, too, when you have a family, and gotta make sure they're okay, and yeah. But it was pretty fun though. I mean, my son, he got into War Machine, so we used to come in, and when we used to have the store, and we'd come in and play games, and yeah, he'd play, I play, we'd talk War Machine, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So it's fun when you have kids. It's not like it's when you have kids, it's like, oh, your life's over, whatever. No, you can teach them these things. You teach them the games, teach them to paint. I've never really tried to teach my daughter to paint my miniatures, but she paints and draws. But I've never tried to have her, paint my miniatures. Maybe someday. I don't know if she's up to it, or she can take me, cracking the whip over. Don't, you're doing it wrong. No. John Gore, Dark Eldar tech is fueled like normal Eldar is, but rather than being made of Wraithbone, they're made of composites with engines that directly siphon warp energy. Okay, sure, I'll buy it. I like that. I can easily imagine that type of scenario. Sure, it's like a technological device that allows them to siphon off warp energy. I like it. Okay. Danish artists, could be interesting to see how Leonardo da Vinci would paint miniatures and any of the old masters. Yeah, exactly. Like, how would they, Raphael would be awesome. Picasso, do a lot of conversions. Well, it all depends, because Picasso had, many phases in his life. And even da Vinci had many phases in his life. And so, it's what phase, that you caught them in, what would the miniature look like, right? So, yeah. Papa Nurgle, episode 114, Seamen and Dodos. Tolo, Dark Eldar have some of the most advanced tech in the 41st millennium, in cases even surpassing the powerful weapons of their cousins, access to weapons that basically fling incandescent dark matter. And miniature stars go around a long ways towards giving them serious censored. Sure. Yeah. I think I remember reading that somewhere, isn't it? Because they shoot dark matter, right? But I mean, Eldar shoot bright lances. Dark lances, bright lances. Tomato. Bob, bring back the demos. Pick a model, Kris, and reserve it for working on Way the Brush, start to finish. Oh, man. Man, you guys must think I'm a fast painter. I'm not a fast painter. And in fact, what I was thinking of doing today, was working on my little barricades. I got them all cleaned up yesterday. Got them all cleaned up, washed, and primed. And so I got them primed black. And so, as some of you might guess, I'm going to have a somewhat contrasty kind of color scheme on these things. I posted it on Facebook last night. Some ideas, as far as how to do the walls. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do them. See, even then, I still kind of him and haw. Either I'm going to do them strictly like Samhan, kind of reds. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build them from darker red down to a brighter red. Okay. So I'm going to go darker down to brighter. Okay. And then kind of go basically like almost like a non-metallic metal kind of effect, essentially. And then the little doodads and stuff, they'll be picked out in gold. And then the gemstones, of course, will be picked out. I was thinking of doing like an OSL on the big gemstone, but I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it would look kind of cool, but it might be a little over the top. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm planning. I'm painting. And I was thinking about filming it, so you guys can watch me bungle my way through. Or I was thinking of doing it like how I did the links, where basically I start off with gold, and then I throw in magenta, and then it makes red. And then I was thinking about either doing it gold at the top down to red, or gold at the bottom up to red. I'm thinking gold at the bottom up to red. I think it would look cool. Oops, jeez. Getting all excited here. My hands are all over the place. So, yeah. Kris, did you play any Warhammer 40k at Adepticon? I did not play any 40k. I only played one game at Adepticon, and that was Artemis. That was a computer game. I talked about it in the sit and talk there yesterday. Yesterday. Mini wargaming. Basically, it's a computer game. We sat down with 6 consoles or 5 consoles. 1, 2, 3, 5 consoles. But 6 players. 6 players, 5 consoles. It was a lot of fun. Owen was our captain. Dan was our engineer. Mini Wargaming Dan was our engineer. Menoth John was our communications officer. Miranda, Wargamer Girl, she was our sensors officer. This other fellow named Dan, he was our helm officer. I can't remember. First time I met him. And then I was weapons. I was on the torpedoes and such. And it was a blast. And we played the first scenario using the smallest ship in the game. And it was an absolute blast. And apparently, you can get bigger ships where you can even control like the fighter ships. Like you have launch bays and launch fighters, and you can have them flying around. Because the game has a 3D element as well. It has 3D graphics, and you can see the ship flying around. And it's basically Star Trek. Because, I mean, ships were like cloaking and decloaking all around us. And you can fire EMP missiles, nukes at them, just regular explosive missiles, and yeah, so yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Ronnie Sugden, I just realized Sea Monkey Men. Sea Monkey Men, yeah. Oh man, I don't know where the heck. But yeah, so did you find the red alert button? No, there was no red alert button. It would have been fun though because Owen filmed it, and so you guys can expect to see it on Owen's channel. It'd have been fun whenever we took damage that like we all kind of shook in unison because like the screens would like get all fuzzy and stuff like that, and so all our screens were fuzzy like when we were taking hits and stuff. And again, it was basically Star Trek. That's all it was Star Trek. And I had to like plot where the missiles were going and fire torpedoes, and yeah, you have to look at the tactical display. Communications was talking with the enemy and some of that. Sensors would have to communicate where enemies, who was weakest. Helm, needed to know where to go. The captain would have to give orders where to go. Engineering would have to keep all the things running, repairing damage, and yeah. It was a lot of fun. Definitely would play it again. Could play that one all day long, I think. Especially some of the bigger scenarios. The one scenario we were playing... Well, we played 2 scenarios. Well, the first scenario, we were doing all right. We were heading back to one of our star bases. And I turned the shields off, thinking, okay, well, we're safe for now. We don't need the power on. Turned the shields off, and we ended up hitting a mine. And it killed us. And so that ended our game real fast. Whereas if we had the shields on, at least we would have probably survived. The second game, we won. And that was fun. And basically, it was just fighting off hordes and hordes of ship. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was just just fighting back the hordes of enemies and losing star bases and all these other starships that were getting killed. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Spike, you email time? I think it is email time. Ronnie Sugden, the game sounds awesome. Yeah. Artemis, that's what the game's called. Artemis. Papa Nurgle, why don't you love your fellow monkeys? I don't know. Because we're talking about... Let's do an email because... Holy man, we're almost an hour into the show. Because we're almost an hour into the show. Let's do an email. Oops, wrong one. There we go. This is from Vortun. Vortun. Ho there, Kris. Ho there. In addition to my huge load, here's a blood letter I slapped up to see how my painted color progression would go on actual model. I think it turned out alright, except for the sword. I hope you can see what kind of effect I was gunning for, but I'm not satisfied with it. Here I attempt to glaze up from a black with blood letter, then try to dry brush with some sort of glazing, then some highlighting. How would you do a sort of black to white molten type of sword? I was considering green power weapon looking swords to break off the red, but I think the style would look better if there's a way to do it that both look good and quick enough to be used on dozens and dozens of little duders. The model is a lot brighter in real life than the final highlight of orange. There is actually Troll Slayer orange, but the camera dulls it a lot. Excited for the day I got my new K10 painted up so I can send some pics. Keep on teaching and inspiring, Vortun. Man, I had a hard time reading that. I don't know why. So here is his blood letter, and he's going for a molten effect. I think the molten effect works. I like it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And in fact, I think the black, you can add in that little texture. You know how like lava has those little dark spots and stuff like that? I think you can add those. Just a tiny little bit. Not much. Just a tiny little amount. Just add a little bit more texture there. Make it look a little bit more molten lava-like. But otherwise, I think the sword looks great. I think you did a real good job there. Some bits on this guy. Oh, this is the big duder. Yeah. Man, look at that. Holy moly. You got a lot of corn to do, dude. Yeah, so the molten effect, I think it works out very, very well. I think you did a good job. Let me see here. Go back. And so what was it? Yeah, the model's a lot brighter. Yeah, because Troll Slayer orange is really, really bright. How would you do a black to white molten effect on type of sword? I think how you did it is pretty much how I would do it. And in fact, I think I've shown in previous quick tips in the vault, I think showing us an effect very similar to what you've achieved there. And so, again, good work. I think it works out very nicely. And yeah, keep on going. Keep going. Looks good. Comments. Sam Potts said, Kris, will you be going to Valhalla this year? Yes. If so, can we expect vids from your time there? Yes. I've got vids on Adepticon. I just haven't gotten around to editing because I know some of you have been asking for pictures and stuff like that. And so I'm just going to kind of cram it all into one video, and it'll just kind of just be it'll be really incoherent, but it will be a kind of a peek into the whole kind of weekend. Because again, I didn't do a lot of gaming. I was really I brought shopping money, and I really didn't spend anything, and it was just walking around, checking out the sites, and talking with you guys. It was a lot of you guys that occupied up that time. That was just get stopped, talk, hey, how's it going, whatever. And yeah, which was great. I mean, it was really awesome. It was really really awesome, seeing you guys and talking to you guys. So, and if I go again, yeah, it'd be really awesome. I know we'll have even better time. African Wise Man, Kris, you should record some of these games. Kris and friends, the banter gameplay through your crew would be really fun to watch. Yeah, well, expect it on Owen's channel. He recorded us at Adepticon, and we had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Dr. Williams, what happened to the email? Yeah, I know, really, eh? Tolo, slapping a handful of semen with a huge load of corn. Jeez. Papa Nargle, the Kris Adepticon Extravaganza Blockapalooza. Oof, couldn't even read that. Plasma Plays. Did you see the GMM Studios at Adepticon? They painted one of the huge charity prizes. Yeah, I did see that big thing. The Adeptus Mechanicus display board. That thing was huge too, and like such detail. Like the floor had multi layers from dirt and like it looked like metal grates and stuff like that. Really, really cool. It was very nice. I really liked it. And the paint jobs on the malls were just really, really good. I think I have a few pictures, and I might have a little bit of video again because I was recording here and there throughout the weekend. So, it's really kind of just a hodgepodge of images and things and sights and sounds. Really, and then of course when it got to nighttime, we'd go out for dinner, and so we went out for dinner, and it was usually drinks and chatting and talking with people, right? So a lot of fun. No, it was a good time though. I definitely would do it again. I think I would like to do a instructional class, but I was thinking like, okay, well, all of the instructional classes, everybody's got them all, like everything kind of cornered, right? There's some really good introductory. Man, I can't even speak now. Introductions into painting, more advanced stuff, non-metallic metal, true metals, all these different things. 8 different instructors teaching many different things, right? And so I was thinking that maybe what I will do is something different. And I was thinking maybe something more like this. Way of the Brush. Basically, the show would be the class, and the class would be the show. And so everybody who signs up, and basically everybody just kind of brings whatever is happening, whatever they need help with, and then that's what we do, right? So, Papa Nurgle, will there be every chance of Kris coming to Gen Con? Unlikely, unless somebody gave me a bunch of money to go. If everybody chipped in, say $50 for me to go to Gen Con, then I might go. But otherwise, no, I'm not going. I'm talking everybody. HC Leo Shi. Question. Are the emails shown today on Way of the Brush sent during the show or before? They're before. That last email, that was from end of March. Just because the way things got, I was kind of busy, and I was asking for a lot of emails because I was right out. Well, now I'm like stock full of emails, and so not that there's too many emails. It's just we'll get through them. Don't worry. Don't worry, HC. Don't worry. Is it HC or Leo? Would you prefer Leo? Leo Shi? HC Leo Shi? I don't know what rhymes. Anyway, yeah. So. Yeah, don't worry. If you send an email, Leo, we will get to it. Don't worry. Spite you, dude. Way of the Brush live at Adepticon 2017 with a demo making a comeback. Yeah, no. The demo wouldn't. No. You would be the demo. Okay, you would be. So, say for example, there's 20 of us in the room. Then, the hour or the two, or the hour or two would be okay. First 10 minutes, boom, it's the Bad Edge, and what's his painting problem? Boom. What do we do? Then we do a live demo because he would bring his paints and models and stuff like that, and what he was working on, and then okay, I get it, and then we'd work on it, and then go to the next person. And what are you working on? This thing I don't know about wet blending. Okay, we'll do wet blending. Bang, I'm not sure about using complementary colors within the shadows or on a model surface. Okay, but then boom, and we'll do that. You know what I mean? Like we'll just go through all of them. And so, again, the class wouldn't be about whatever I brought to the table. It's what all you guys can. And we just sit down and then just do and answer and solve your problems. I thought that'd be kind of interesting class. Wouldn't it be actually that great if schools worked like that? You just come and say, I don't know what this is about. And then they go, here's what it's about. Okay, well, what about this? Anyway. Papa Nurgle, you make me cry so, Kris. Why? Why am I making you cry? I don't know. African Wise Man, I'd love to check out Adepticon, but unless I find myself living in that part of the world one day, it's a bit impractical for me to go. One day. Well, I mean, like, everybody should at least go to Disneyland once in their lives, right? So you make a trip once. And that way you can say, well, you know what? I was really into, the family was young, right? It was perfect time, whatever. We set aside money for the whole year and came over and, checked it out. And honestly, I don't think Adepticon, for like anybody who's into, like, we're all into these wargaming, 40K, stuff like that. I don't think anybody would be disappointed coming from any side of the planet and checking out Adepticon, because that's all Adepticon is just wargaming. And 24-hour wargaming too. People were playing like into the morning, like all night long. And the really fun part is that for some of us who like to imbibe beverages, you can walk around and just happily drink your beer and do your shopping and chit chat, check out the Crystal Brush stuff, check out the vendors, watch the tournaments, look at all the awesome displays, and it's a fun time, man. It's a fun time. I enjoyed myself. Sandpots laughed my ass off. Had everyone chipping in. Yeah, I mean, like, as I'm saying, I expect $0 from anybody. I'm just saying that that's how unlikely a scenario it is for me to go to Gen Con this year. I never planned on it. I planned on going to Adepticon months ago. So I had, the coin set aside and everything like that, and time and everything. And so everything worked out, and bang, travel arrangements, room, whatever, it all worked out. And so Gen Con, for me to go to pick up and make the plans right now, who knows? Don't think it still would happen. Despite you set up a Kickstarter. Nah. No, it's okay. Leo Shi. Good. It's usually Leo, though don't mind either. Looking forward to today. Dr. Williams, for your contribution, you get a fistful of semen. Awesome. But Sandpots, that's awesome. Hands on with your live in class. Yeah, exactly. Like it would just be like I would come with like with all my supplies, of course. And you would come with like your supplies, or maybe just a model. Maybe if I could get it together, I could have supplies for all the students, right? And then you just come with say a model you're working on, or what you're having problems with, or something you want to learn about, or something whatever, right? And that's what we do, and bang, and we'd hammer it out. And the thing is too is like all the painters who do the teaching and whatever. Man, they paint like it was around the clock. There was people painting, and like I love the paint. I love the game too, but man, there's people painting all day long. And I said, wow, you guys dedicated, man. But hey, that's what it takes if you want to win the awards, right? You got to put in the time, and so yeah. Solve all my problems? Well, maybe just the art-related ones. Yeah, exactly. Bad Edge. My problems would take many hours to solve, Kris. Well, I'm not saying all the problems. I'm just saying, like, your painting ones. Man. Papa Durgle, you need to come spread the love at Gen Con. Spread the love at Gen Con? I'd love to spread the love at Gen Con, but it's just not going to happen this year. It's just not in the cards. Again, like I said, in the highly unlikely scenario of people sending me $50 each, or just sending me money, just sending me to go. You know what I mean? I mean, right now, I doubt I could even book a room. Because it's what, August? And I bet you that place is full. Jeff Alonst? Wait, there's booze? Booking a flight now. Yeah, man, it's Chicago, man. As long as you don't mind spending $8 a beer. Which I didn't mind. Keegan, hey Kris. My wife paints all our miniatures and she's really good. She just bought a new air gun, and the one And this one states it should be set at 10 to 15 psi compared to her last one at 30 psi. Advice? Well, if the machine's telling you that it's only going to run at 10, 15 psi, then you should probably only run it at that. If the pressure gauge says it can go higher, then... But you picked up a new airbrush or a new compressor? Wait, she bought a new air gun. And it says it should be set to 10 to 15 psi. Okay, so if it's a new airbrush, then... and it's saying it wants it at 10 to 15 psi, then you most likely will want to run it at that psi, because it's probably more like a fine detail type airbrush, like a Badger Patriot or a Badger Renegade Chrome, or what's the Iwata equivalent? I can't remember what the Iwata equivalent is. Anyway, it's the airbrush. Okay, so it's the airbrush. And basically, it's telling you because it wants you so that you'll be able to come in and do fine lines and be able to come in close to the model. Whereas if you're going at 30 psi with that same brush, you'd be just hammering the area and the spray would hit and you have all the cloud and stuff coming from it. And that's not what you want. And so running at 10 to 15 psi, as long as your compressor can adjust to that, you're in good shape. Just run it at that. And that's probably why. It's probably because it's a finer airbrush. Do you know what kind of airbrush it is? Nice Badger it is. So it's a Badger? What kind of Badger? Don't know. Lots of Badgers. Badgers. And he actually had this new Badger coming out too. Ken had the prototype at Adepticon. It is the Patriot Extreme. And I'm kind of jazzed up about it. And so I'm going to have to bug him about sending me one at some point. Because it looks legit. So, yeah. It's not just the looks. I mean, like, it's the functionality. It looks like it's got a bit better control on paint flow. And also airflow. There's also another airflow thing on it. Oh, it's a Patriot 105. Patriot 105 says it can flow at 105? Are you serious? Must be in the manuals. Anyway, no, you don't need to. The Patriot 105, you don't need to run at 10 to 15 psi. You can run it up to 30, 34, like base coats. Well, not base coat, but priming and things like that. Usually I'm running about 20 for running base coats. 15 psi. If I was going to do some small OSL, like I know when I did like the Celestian Prime, for Age of Sigmar, the big floaty guy and the big celestial stuff. I know I turned that one down to I think 15 psi, and I was doing with the Badger Patriot. I was doing just a small little OSLs all on the the little comet trails and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, you can ramp that way up, take it way down, whatever. Patriot 105, it's a darn good brush. It's a darn good brush. I mean, there's other ones out there like it, but I mean, I like mine. and as long as you take care of it, it works just great. So, yeah. So hopefully that kind of helps there. Keegan. Ishyab, did you say spread the love? And how is that different from his fistful semen? Because they don't sound the same. Not even the same syllables. Spread the love, fistful of semen. Don't even sound the same. Don't even rhyme. So I don't even know what you're talking about, dude. The Barfing Sheep. Hey, Chris and monkeys. Currently playing Nids versus Cadian with my brother. Bugs all over me. I would imagine bugs would be all over you. Yeah. What are you playing? He's playing as Cadian. Did you bring lots of tanks? Hopefully you brought lots of tanks and lots of flamers. Nothing but flamers, man. Just nothing but flamers. Then when he charges you, you just burninate him. Yeah. That's the sound effect, by the way. There we go. And you gotta make the sound effect too when he charges and you got all your flamers lined up. And you got like 2 or 3 in the squad. And it's Danish artist Kris, maybe one of the monkeys live there would give a small amount of space for you to sleep on. You mean at a Gen Con? Just randomly crash with a monkey? Oh man, that sounds dangerous. Oh, that sounds like one of those adventures that, Kris ends up with his skin missing or something, or ends up in the bottom of a well. The bad edge, a fistful of brushes. I like it. Fistful of brushes. There we go. Bad edge, you win. A fistful of brushes. Because that's about the safest title that we can come up with today. Not that we always want the title to be safe, but, a fistful of brushes. Isn't that a Clint Eastwood movie? Fistful of Dollars? Jeff Falonst. Is that, am I saying that right? Jeff Falonst? Anyway. Kris, what are your thoughts on the Citadel Air color set compared to Vallejo, others, etc.? I would compare the Citadel Air to be comparable to other airlines. It's really, really thin. Now, I've played with like Scale 75, which is both a brush and airbrush paint. It's really, really thin. It's really good. Vallejo Air, it's really, really thin. Minotaur, really, really thin. And Citadel Air is really, really thin. It's got a good, strong pigment. It does not take very much to, cover a surface area. It goes on nice and smooth. It covers very well. I really like Citadel Air. It's really, really, I think it's a good paint. The only thing that I do not care for is the premium price and the fact that it is in a paint pot. Because you're going, like, when we're dealing with airbrushes and we're dealing with the paint, I mean, there's a certain number of milliliters that is wasted, that gets lost, right? In flushing, working out PSI, somewhere along the way, there's a lot of waste of paint in airbrushing. That's often why airbrush paints come in, bigger bottles, because you're going to go through it pretty quickly. And so with Citadel Air, they give you the same size little piddly ass paint pot in a paint pot. It's not even dropper style. So I mean, you're already going to waste more of this paint that you're getting such a little bit amounts of paint, and you're paying a premium price on that paint. So, that's my only downer about the paint. The paint itself is good. I don't care for that price tag, and I don't care for the fact it's in a paint pot. And so, yeah. But otherwise, you can go with any other airbrush paint line. Minotaur is a really good paint line. It's really good. The only colors that I've had issue with is white and the metals. Those are the only colors. But apparently the metals was resolved. Apparently the metals that I got when the paint line first came out, because I got the early paint line, and the metallics, the silver was not cooperative at all. The gold flowed well, but the silver did not. But anyway. Of course, another one is that I really like is these golden airbrush colors. You see big jars of them, because you're going to go through lots of stuff. And this stuff here is thin bodied, but high pigment. Think like ink. This stuff is thin like ink, and it goes on like ink. It just covers. It just goes right over. It's good stuff, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's, yeah. Very good. Where are we in the thing? I don't know. Gareth Thomas Lord. It puts the paint on the miniature, and it gets the airbrush again. Yeah, I can't even do a Buffalo Bill voice. Oh wait, was she a big fat person? Plasma Plays. Kris, would you recommend getting the start collecting sets for Space Marines and Imperial Guard, since I want to start those armies? Sure, why not? I mean, you can start with those, or you can start with the models that you think are really, really cool, that you'd want to play with. Like, for example, Imperial Guard, you really like the basilisks. Pick up a basilisk first, and then pick up the command squad and units and whatever else you want, right? If you know that the kind of army you want to do is artillery based. Of course, the next one really should be pick up the codex. Pick up a codex first. That way you can plan out what you want, and then you can buy accordingly, and then you'd be a really smart shopper. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. Are the Citadel spray cans a suitable replacement for an airbrush in terms of doing base coats? Ooh, kind of a trick question. No, it's not really a trick question. It's just because it's a color primer. Okay? And I've warned about this in the past, about priming. Okay? Because one of the big dangers of colored primers is the tendency to over-prime. And if you've ever done one of your models and seen that it was kind of like a really chalky finish, or you put the paint on and it kind of just bleeds into the model, or you just couldn't get a really smooth surface on the model, that's because it was over primed. And when we are priming a model, typically you don't want to over prime because you can obscure detail and a lot of funny things like that. You just want a surface that the paint can grab a hold of, and it's the color of the paint that you thin out and apply in many layers that it's going to build a nice deep rich layer and have a nice smooth finish. So with the colored primers, yes, it's good in getting your army and stuff like that done quickly, but if you care at all about your quality, then no, I would stay with black or white preferably, white primers if you're going to stick with sprays. Citadel White is one of my favorite primers. I think it's one of the best, and nothing else covers quite like it, and it goes on really, really well. And because when you're over priming, the tendency is to spray, and if you can still see some of the plastic or the metal or whatever, like say in the corners, you want to sit there and go psh, psh, and keep spraying at that spot. And that's what you don't want to do, because you're just spraying more and more primer onto that model. As you're spraying it on the model, you're getting into that recess, but you're also hitting all the other areas of the model. And you're just building up a really, really thick layer of primer. And that's bad. That's bad. You don't want to do that. Heck, that's probably, come to think of it now, when a model chips really easily, that's probably because the primer is on so thick. It's like a shell, and it becomes brittle. And then when it jolts, it sloughs off, right? Like it just kind of breaks off like a big eggshell kind of thing, So, yeah, don't do it. I mean, it's good if you want to get, say for example, color primer, you want to get like a Land Raider done real quick, by all means, do it. Because it's kind of, you can still mess it up, but I mean, it's kind of hard to over prime bigger models, but like little models, like little Space Marines, yeah, you're gonna end up over priming them. Toothless. How would you go about doing snow effects on buildings? ADL, I don't know what ADL is. Snow effects on buildings. For snow effects, I like using baking soda. The baking soda method is my favorite. Mixing it either with PVA glue or mixing it with gloss varnish. Gloss varnish gives you a really wet, shiny look. PVA gives you more of a snowy kind of slushy kind of look. But at any rate, this stuff is probably my favorite. And even if you put just a little bit of glue down and then just sprinkle this like on the edges, like just on the edge of something, it looks really great. Just because it's a really, really fine powder, So that's my preferred method, is baking soda for doing snow effects. I know there's many others. I know there's companies like Army Painter and Citadel that make snow effects, and so if you want to use those, go right ahead, But baking soda for like $3, pick up a box, and you're gonna have an endless supply of snow. Why not? The bad edge. What a beautiful phrase. Piddly-assed. Piddly-assed? Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of crap pisses me off. You know, like how, I don't know, you get into this kind of premium mentality of the measures. Like, just give the people what they want. You know? Give them something good for their value. You know? You don't have to constantly keep trying to rip people off. Just, you know, my God, you know, just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just getting old. Anyway. Gray Death Angel. Wow, this is getting crazier than I thought. What? What's getting crazier? The show, dude, if this is your first day showing up here, man, this is usually how it goes. Man, as soon as you let one little bit of innuendo go, the monkeys just take it and run. They just run with it. And I haven't even read everything that they've been talking about today, just because it's going to make people blush. Oh, man. Cullen Tullis. You're probably better off using an airbrush for priming than prime coats instead of an airbrush. Whoa, what? You're probably better off using an airbrush from priming, or for priming maybe, than prime coats or base coats instead of an airbrush. No, I mean, if you have an airbrush, then you're going to pretty much be priming anyway from that point forward. Your time with aerosol cans and propellants and stuff like that is done. You're just going to airbrush. Everything. Once you get an airbrush kind of really kind of speeds up your workflow. Just as long as you take care of the brush is all. Plasma Plays. You say that spray priming small models is bad, but I did 12 Necrons at the same time and they look fine. Sure. I didn't say you're going to ruin your models every time. The tendency is to over prime. Okay? Now, Necrons, they don't have a whole lot of little nooks and crannies on them. Maybe in the rib cage and like in the underside of the torso. But otherwise, you know what I mean? They're just curved surfaces. Like it's just tubes, right? It's just cylinders. These just cylinder shapes. So there's not a lot of details that you can really kind of mess up on a Necron. But you get into something, say, Dark Eldar, or anything where it relies on smooth surfaces, the Space Marines, especially if you've glued all the parts of the Space Marine together. You've got his bolt gun up in front, and you know what I mean, you have this void here. Yeah. You can, and I mean, like, I'm not saying that every time you prime by spray can doing something small, you're gonna mess your models up. I'm not saying that. It's just that the tendency is always to prime the models, and especially when you're using colored primers, like, you know, somebody's using Space Marine red and wants to do their Blood Angels, and I mean, and they tend to spray just too much red paint on the models because they were trying to cover every nook and cranny of the model. Yogi KKK, I heard baking soda gets yellowish after time if it's not mixed with white paint. Is that true? You can throw in white paint if you want. It's not gonna affect anything. I've not. Do I have any of them handy? I do not have any handy to show you. But, or do I? No, I don't. I do not. Sorry. Sorry, I'm looking at all the models here. I'm just trying to figure out which models had snow on them. If you want to throw in the white paint, go ahead. It's not gonna affect anything. But in my experience, no, because it's usually the yellowing is usually occurring from the glue, the PVA glue, and whatever brand you use. I use Elmer's, and Elmer's typically does not yellow. Now, over years, it could yellow. And so, yeah, you might want to throw in white paint. You know, entirely up to you. Lazy Monkey, Kris, with the baking soda used for snow. Have you noticed long-term any yellowing? Oh, yeah. I've heard people claim that it can be a problem over the course of years. I don't think it's the baking soda that yellows. It's the glue that yellows. Now, some glues will yellow and some don't. So it all depends. Matthew Demi, did I miss an email? No, you didn't miss an email. I just haven't gotten to another one yet. Where are we? Yeah, let's get another email in. I mean, I don't know what the heck we're talking about here. Oh, wrong mouse. This one is a really fast one, and then we'll probably do another one right after this one. This is from Jack, the Winter King. Hey, Chris, have you got any tips for freehanding ring shapes, not solid circles? What? Kind regards, Jack. Have I got any tips for freehanding ring shapes? Okay, so for example, he wants to, paint the one ring on a banner, I guess, on the side of a tank. He wants to do like a ring, right? Like a typical, ring, like a wedding ring, right? When doing that, if it's big enough and you can show highlight, and if you're going to do like a non-metallic metal, maybe it's like a gold ring and you're going to paint like a gold ring on something. Be mindful of how you place your highlights and shadows. If you have the ring like such, you put like a bit of a crescent shape on the highlights and the shadows if they're next to each other. If you're going for like a non-metallic metal look, you do it that way. And, that should give you your kind of impression of 3 dimensions. But doing like a ring, if you're just going to do just a straight up color, then you're better off starting off with as thin a line as possible and drawing, half, and then turning the model around and doing that same kind of muscle motion if you can achieve it, right, and match up the ends, and then slowly build the thickness up of that until you have a solid color, like you have a border. But otherwise, yeah, it's really, if you're freehanding stuff on a model surface, keep your paints thin, not too thin, but as thin as ink, or, they often describe it as skim milk or whatever. Keep your brush nice and pointy. Make sure the end is free of any kind of debris or anything like that. Or sometimes the artificial brush or the fine brushes, you'll get that little chunk of paint right at the end of like 1 or 2 bristles, so you kind of have to pull that off. And also keeping your brush somewhat perpendicular to the surface of what you're painting, and then just kind of go. Remember to breathe and keep your hand nice and steady, but breathe as you work, and you should be okay. So hopefully, Jack Pink, that kind of helps. Oh, the Winter King, sorry. Yes, we're gonna get another email in. Great Death Angel, Chris, I usually watch the show after, so I don't get to read the chat. Okay. Yeah. Well, because the chat, for some reason, the chat used to show up in the comments, but then Google or YouTube made a change and the chat disappears. I still have the chat. If I set this thing to like private or whatever, I can see all the chat comments after the show, but otherwise, no, they go disappearing. Why? I don't know. It's kind of annoying. I mean, they should stay, but anyway, yeah, that rhymed. Ronnie Sugden, I sent an email before Chris went to Adepticon, and I'm hoping we get to it today. Possibly. Same here. Leo Shi. Wargren, man, I suck at web blending. Well, take your time. Practice. Nicholas Allen, you missed my question, Chris. Did I? When did you send it? I'm willing to bet I didn't. Okay, so let's do another. Sandpots at Chris. War Machine. Of all the colossals, which one did you find the most challenging and why? Like, what do you mean challenging to play against or to put together and paint? Because I have the Galleon and it was a bit of a challenge. Otherwise, they all seem to go together pretty well because they're all big clunky pieces and they're not, terribly difficult to put together. As far as fighting, geez, I don't know. I often have a hard time against the Hyperion, just because that stupid cannon and it consumes everything. If he rolls crit, that gets annoying and it makes you a little gun shy sometimes. Especially when I have Alexia on the table and I do not want her to die. So, painting wise, yeah. Painting wise, Galleon's been pretty tough, mainly because to do it right, you gotta do weathering on it to do it right. Otherwise, the Galleon just doesn't have the character that it's supposed to have. If it looks too pristine, it's got to look beat up and like it's been out in the docks and he's worn down and stuff like that. Yeah. So, anywho, email. This is from Ronnie Sugden. Hey Kris. Nice. That's all he's left was hey Kris. Good job, Ronnie. I'm just teasing. Here it is. He sent another one. Anyway. Hey Kris, I heard last week you were out of email, so I decided it was time to send in some pictures. The pictures I am going to send you have a bit of a theme. The first pictures are of a Death Dread and a kill can I painted early on, primed black, and brought up to Fire Dragon Bright, and then washed down with Fugan Orange. Fugan. I was trying to save time by not thinning my paints, so the models are pretty rough. It was at this point I started watching your quick tip videos, and the next kill can I was primed white, base oranged again, but thinned the paints first. The last kill can and Gorkanaut were primed white and based with an airbrush, and I thought it would be neat to showcase the monkeys how practicing and applying your basic techniques can really improve your paint job. I want to thank Kris for all your help and your quick tips in Wayne the Brush episodes. Now for my question. Any tips to painting high contrast models? I am working on a Slanesh army of a dark purple and bright yellow. I seem to have a bad habit of picking high contrast schemes. Thanks again, Ronnie Sugden, aka Rancid Platypus. Rancid Platypus, really? P.S. These are all the pictures I could fit, so enjoy. Okay, so let's have a look. Picture one. And so here's his first little guy. And you can kind of see, well, it looks pretty good. Doesn't look too rough. This looks like you should have the cat logo on it. It's a heavy industrial piece of equipment. I like it. It looks neat. Nice and clean. Looks good. So look at this guy. You can see the paint's a little bit heavier on this guy. Oops. I forgot to zoom out with these shots. There we go. You can see the paint's just a little bit heavier. Just a little bit. But again, I think after watching the show for a while, I think you know to alternate your brush strokes and everything like that. But very good. Ooh, look at this guy. I like this color scheme. This color scheme is really cool. And not just because it reminds me of, tractor equipment or anything like that. But it does remind me of tractor equipment. And I think you'd really benefit from doing like the chipped armor on the crevice, on the corners and stuff like that. Just a bit of weathering. Because it's orky, right? Ghost of Starman Deluxe. It's a Fugan. Fugun? Fayugun. Fayugun? You can say that all day long. Fayugan. Fugan. That sounds like I'm doing something from Street Fighter. Fugan. Anyway. Very good. Yeah, see, so like they're really nice and clean, right? And yeah, I mean they're orky. I'd like to see them beat up just a little bit. Oh, look at this guy. That's cool. Very, very, very cool. And so, yeah, I can see like the paint is going on nice and smooth. Nice and even. Well, you said you did with this one with the airbrush, right? But either way, it's going on nice and smooth, even. Details are still there. Nice crisp edges. And the color scheme is just too hilarious. I just want to see that cat logo on it. And I think there should be some weathering. But that's just me. If you want to keep your pristine orcs, by all means, keep your pristine orcs. But very good stuff, Ronnie. His question. Any tips on painting high contrast models? Well, okay, when we're talking high contrast models, we are talking about colors we're talking about models that have really, really bright elements and really, really dark elements. That's high contrast, right? There's a lot of contrast between the models. When we are painting something yellow and purple, like the pure yellow and the pure purple, those are already by default high contrast. But like you get colors like, say, red and green, where pure red and pure green, they're not high contrast. They're actually very similar in value. If you were to look at them through like a gray scope, you would see that they're almost the same values. But purple and yellow, they're contrasty. Yellow being very brighter, purple being very dark. And so when you are working on something that's very contrasty, you can work from a black primer, build up your dark cut tones, and then build up your highlights from black, so that you have, say, black in the shadows and then a brighter color on top, if that's the way you want to go. He's going to work on a Slanesh army of dark purple and bright yellow. I think that right there would be about the easiest way to go about it. Is just paint the armor dark purple, give it small edge highlights of the purple, and then with the yellow, come in with, say, something like Uriel yellow, and then just edge it, say, with Dorn yellow, and you'd be done. Pretty much just follow, where you would put the yellow, where you put the purple, things like that. But otherwise, typically, when we're talking high contrast models, though, we're talking models that the shadows are really dark and the highlights are really, really bright. And, it looks really, really great on some models. Some models, not so much. It's just too much going into play, So it all really depends, especially on how far and how much black you're going to have in those shadows and how much white you're going to have in those highlights. And so again, it's always kind of a balancing game as far as like how far you want to push these things. But yeah. There was a question. He did ask something here. Tips for weathering then. Well, for weathering, basically I would go with, say, a dark brown and use the sponge method, right? If you're not familiar with the sponge method, is you just get yourself some fine sponge. Typically, whenever you go to the big box stores or like home improvement, whatever, they often sell in the painter's section the little small finishing brushes or edging brushes. And that sponge is just perfect for this cause, because it's a dense little, like the little pockets of air are just really, really small to get in together on the foam. And so it's really, really good for this purpose. Makeup sponges, women's makeup sponges, also another excellent small sponge for this technique. And basically all you do is tear off a little chunk, get something that gives you some various little textures. Usually the torn end is usually very interesting to use. I often apply it into a tweezer so that I can hold onto it accurately, and then basically you're stippling the broad, like you draw it in through the paint a little bit, just wipe the excess off on the palette, and then just straight in, straight out, and just very lightly touch the model, and that sponge will leave these little funny little patterns all behind, and it looks like the paint has chipped off. So for your models, because they're predominantly that orange, I would go with something like with the darker brown. You could either mix, say, that orange with black and make that kind of deeper primer kind of color, because essentially what you're going to do is you're going to do this twice. You're going to go like a brown color, as kind of like looking like the primer layer. Or you could also go with a dark gray or mid-tone gray to look like that primer layer, or even like the layer of paint, like it's burnished paint or paint metal. It'll look like, like kind of like burnished metal. Either or you can go for. You do that at the edges, and you only go for just the outside edges, and anywhere you think that you would have wear. Like the teeth on the jaws, you kind of have them on the ends of the teeth, but really you don't want to overdo it. You just want to stick to edges and corners of stuff, and then you can come back in with, say, some iron breaker or I'd go by iron breaker, a little bit on the sponge, choose a different sponge, and then just very, very lightly go over those same spots you had previously done, not to go past the brown, but just stay within it. Now, realize that some areas will be brown and some areas will be just silver, but that's fine, because when you're looking at it as a whole, it'll look like the layers of chip paint and everything like that. And so that's the sponge method is about the easiest way to do weathering and chip paint on a model surface. And of course, I do have quite a few videos on using the sponge method to create that chipped weathered effect. Just as of recently, Space Marines, I did it on the White Scars, the Bloodletter, what the heck are those guys called now? World Eaters. A lot of the Space Marines that I did the battle damage on pretty much is a sponge method, other than doing it by hand. And by hand is all right, because you can create the scratching, like the claw marks and stuff like that, so it's a little bit easier to do those ones. But usually the sponge method is about the easiest way to achieve the look of chip paint and damage and things like that. So hopefully, Ronnie, that helps. Thank you for sending in the email. Those models look really, really awesome, and keep going, of course. But yeah. Where are we in these comments? I don't know. I can't see. Prawn ham dance for betting. What? Oh, typhus. We're talking some typhus corrosion now for the grit and grime. Yes, very good. Sam Potts at Kris. Ever paint up any mini in a pattern of a 1950s movie? Black, white, and gray. How much of a task is or would that be? Not as bad as you'd think. But it would require you to do a lot of color blending. If you wanted to do it right. If you wanted the models to look like they were right out of a black and white picture. It would require a lot of blends. Especially if you had flesh and things like that. Yeah, you'd want to do blends. But otherwise, it wouldn't be that big a deal to do. Basically, it's called a monochromatic, where you're basically just dealing with one color. Black and white and gray, black to white. You could do it dark red, just choose red, and it goes from all the way from a black to a white. You could do that with all the spectrum of colors, and essentially that's called monochromatic. So whenever you hear that term monochromatic, that's what they're referring to. It's just the one color was chosen to be for the model. And so, if it was a Space Marine and it was monochromatic blue, then the entire thing would be dark, almost to the point of black, blue, up to a white. That's monochromatic. And it'd be all that one value of blue as well. And you'd have all your variations in there. And we're talking like every detail. So like the flesh was painted blue. The details were painted blue. The bolt guns blue. Everything was blue. That's monochromatic. Despite you. Man, it's getting to that point now. Can't stop yawning. If I had thought of it before I started painting, I would have tried the hairspray effect. But well. The hairspray method is good, I think, for larger stuff. Land Raider, larger flat surfaces. I mean, it works fine, for like, like monster size things, like Colossus and War Machine. You know, it would even work for the Killicans and things like that. But, I mean, the sponge method gets you to the same spot. Another one is, crap, I was just thinking of it just now. Okay. Third one, hairspray, sponge, and, masking, using liquid mask. That's another one you can use. Basically, you lay your rust layer color down with a sponge, apply, your liquid mask all over the edges and stuff like that. You spray your base color down, you put your highlights in, and then you peel off the masks, and you have all the corners exposed as metal. That's another way, So there's more than one way to skin a cat as far as, creating rust and, chip paint and things like that, right? Nicholas Allen, hey Chris, I'm painting up some models in the style of Ghost Rider with technique, i.e. glazing, airbrush, wet blending. Would you suggest for painting realistic flames? Well, if you have an airbrush, then I would go with the airbrush. But if you don't have an airbrush, then you're most likely be going about it in glazing and probably a combination of wet blending and glazing, just to get, like, oftentimes I'll use wet blending just to begin off a transition. Just to begin the transition, and then I'll switch to glazing or edging and stuff like that. And so when we're painting our models, like, you don't have to get caught up in using like one particular brush technique. That's not the way it works. A brush technique is merely a tool in your toolbox, and you use it whenever you need to get to a certain effect or desired end, whatever it is, So. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about that one. Let's quickly do another email because we can. And we got 13 minutes left of the show. This is from Jordan Volpe. Thought I'd share some sisters I've been working on. Those don't look like sisters. Oh yeah, they are sisters. Some models don't have backpacks yet because I do batches and those separate. Let me know what you think of the scheme. Always nice to hear others' opinions because obviously I'm biased. He's biased. Okay, so let's have a look. Sisters Battle. Pink. Interesting choice. Pink armor. I think the cloth is a little heavily dry brushed. I think a little bit more contrast in the pink would also help if you hit it with, like, say, Druchii Violet or Cardboard Crimson, whichever way you want to go. If you want to go for more of a purple look, or if you want to go more of a red look, it all depends on which way you want to go. All in all, not bad. Just the dry brushing looks a little heavy. I like to see a little bit more control in the edge highlights. But it's not bad. Very interesting. When you're dry brushing, okay, so like for example, when you're dry brushing, you have your mid-tone brought down here, right? You painted the entire thing, this mid-tone brown. Then it looks like you took some either Agraxer shade or Reichland Flush shade, whichever or whatever it is, threw it on here, let it dry, and then gave it a dry brush again of that mid-tone brown. And then came in with a lighter brown and just did a bit. But when you come in with your darker tones, okay, so you had the mid-tone and you come in with darker tones, and you made, say, like the fur here a little bit darker. There was a line a little bit darker here and then the shadows. When you come in with the lighter tone, be very deliberate and just lightly catch the edges of this, catch most of this, and just a little bit on the edges. And then when you come to the final highlight, then you do just the edges. And maybe just a little peak here, and there. But otherwise, yeah. So, again, just be mindful of, because oftentimes when people are dry brushing, they end up dry brushing the entirety of the surface each time. So if he goes with light brown, he dry brushes the entire thing. Then he comes in with white and dry brushes the entire thing. and leaves no room for any kind of color variations because all the colors sitting on top of each other, right? So again, yeah, I'd like to see a little bit tighter highlights on the armor. Armor could use a little bit more contrast. Very interesting. I'm seeing hints of blue in here. I'm wondering if your brush is dirty. You're dry brushing something blue, and then it hit the model, and voila, you get blue on the armor. Again, after every dry brushing session, I always clean my airbrush, my dry brush, just for that simple fact of not transferring color. Whoop, whoop. Where am I? There we go. Very interesting. Stand better. Let's have a look. Yeah, so like when you have these points here, you have your mid-tone, you want to go brighter on the edge, like almost a white onto that edge, and having your deeper tones hiding and, whatever in those areas. Just so that you create a bit more visual interest, visual contrast on the model. But like I mentioned before, the tendency is to over dry brush and just kind of hit the entirety of the area. You're going from, say, a black to a white, and you want to dry brush it all light gray, and then dry brush it all lighter gray, and then come in and hit the whole thing with white. And then they say, well, it doesn't look quite right. It doesn't, you got to like allow the color progressions to play with each other and, move. And so, yeah. So thank you, Jordan, for saying that. Jeez. What time we at? 53. Holy moly. Where are we? You missed it too. Returned. Awesome. Ronnie, now you got that song in my head. What song in your head? I don't know. Ronnie song. Make sure you punch the Z. The Z. Nicholas Allen, thanks, Kris. Never painted so I wasn't sure which way to go about painting out the flames. Okay, cool. Oh, for the first email, yeah. Lord of Midgets, Kris sounds sick. Did someone give him AIDS again? Again? No. No. I'm not sick. I'm just kind of pooped, kind of tired. I was up late. And, getting to that point where I haven't had enough of my coffee yet because I kind of rushed into the studio today, so. Because I kind of slept in. But that's not your problem. Bad Edge. Me thinks Kris didn't get enough sleep last night. Nudge, nudge. Cat random. Wink, wink. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Say no more. Let's do one more email. Sandpots, Kris, today was very informative for me. Thanks so much for your time and your teaching today. Again, thank you. No problem, Sam. No problem at all. Yeah, let's do one more email. This is from Lord Crabby. Crabby. Hey, Kris, big fan of the show. We met a little while ago, and I thought it was time to step up, paint like crazy, and start finishing my orc army. From my experiences dealing with this army, I have to say it was a labor of love. These bikes were a complete B to assemble, but they were even longer to paint than they were finally done. In all their glory, they were ready to ride. I felt that the shading was okay, but I clumped a little too much orange. Still very proud of it, but again, putting them together was a F-ing nightmare. Also, they were Forge World bikes, so directions they gave me weren't that helpful. No, never are. It was a gap either from the arm to the pedal that was way too short or way off. So when you see some of the bikers, there'll be some gaps between arms and the upper torso. I will need to green stuff them one of these days, but for now, I'm very happy with the result. So this is the continual project. Next will be the boys. Thanks for reading. We'll send another email once the boys are done. Lord Krabby. So let's have a look at his bikes. Very cool. Looks like they're chasing down a space marine. So no, don't chase me down. No, not me. Yeah. I like the orc skin. What color is that orc skin? Is that Fire Dragon Bright? Because I like that orky tone. It almost looks like Sin City. The yellow man. But they look good. Colorful. The painting looks neat. There's some gaps, but that's okay. Nobody's going to kill you. I think the paint job looks good, actually. I'd like to know what that skin is, though. I'm going to assume it's Fire Dragon Bright. I'll assume. Orky. Very cool. Oh, this guy's red. Sweet. I did a number of videos a while ago on various orc tones and skins, and they were usually, I think, in the blues, the reds. I showed like brighter red, I showed darker red, I showed brighter blue, I showed darker blue, you know. And so, if you ever wanted some direction in that regards, there are videos on doing multicolored orc skins. Was that it? Oh, that was it. Aw, I want to see more. Orky. Orc. Speaking of orcs, Battlefleet Gothic. Who's got Battlefleet Gothic? Because I bought it. And Eldar are to be released soon enough. In fact, I'm going to probably update Battlefleet Gothic as soon as I'm done the show today. I was thinking of doing some kind of how-to play kind of videos, or maybe just me goofing around, getting my ass kicked in the game. Just doing some short videos. Probably do them on Twitch. I don't know, but toying with the idea. So, I don't know if anybody's got Battlefleet Gothic, but definitely is a lot of fun. I like the game. It's good. And I love Battlefleet Gothic. Papa Nurgle, Kris has his own handful of semen. Yogi KK, any Battleport with you, Mr. Kris, coming in mini wargaming? Nothing coming up. I mean, there's some classic bat raps with me. Usually they're both the Apocalypse size games because, you know, I think everybody knows that I'm a big bean for Apocalypse. Mainly because I like whipping out all the stuff, right? So, but mind you, I just picked up the Aegis line, so I would like to, once I have this painted, I would like to give it a shot. So, you never know. You just never know. Papa Nurgle, green is mean. SimCity Orc Rock Edition. Captain Random, I'm thinking of getting it. Not sure though. Oh, I like it. If you're a fan of the original, this plays just like the original, except you can zoom way in on the ships and you can see the cannons all blasting away, and you can see all the, like, you can come from the other perspective and see like all the fire. It's almost like World of Warships, except it's Battlefleet Gothic, and you can just see all this fighting. And of course, you got way more controls. You can do way more stuff, you know. Yeah, and you can even tell the ships, like, what kind of systems they want to target. Like, if you want your cruiser to attack the engines or the special generator or the bridge, or, you know what I mean, you can tell your ship to do that concentrate their fire at those points on the ship, which is really, really cool because you couldn't do that in tabletop, right? But Yeah. Danish artist, I got Battlefleet, I got Gothic Fleet, but parts of it gotten lost. And my parents. What? Gotten lost? No, not the board game. I'm talking about the computer game. The computer game, people. I'm talking about the pewter game. The pewter. Yeah. So, we're at 2 o'clock. That means that is the 120 hour, 120 minute, 120 hour. Whew, man, could you imagine a show running that long? Oh man, I'd be bananas at the end. I don't think I could make it 120 hours on a show. Are you kidding? I'd go bonkers. Be crazy. Yeah, the computer game. Yeah, I know the computer game, man. Computer game. Because it's going to have all 4. And if you pre-order, you get Space Marines as well. Which is really, really cool. Because that's 5 factions in the game. And, yeah. The pewter game. Pewter. Captain Random. I'm grabbing it when I get it. Yeah, grab it, man. Get on Steam. And look me up. I'm under Mini Wargaming Kris, and just add me to your friends list or whatever. But yeah, I'm on Steam. Yeah, if you want to play some Battlefield Gothic. Lord of Midgets, Kris is getting old. He's retiring his miniatures and going full digital. Never. I'm more analog than I am digital, and so I'll always keep my models. Well, not all the models, but most of the models. Like my Phantom Titan, I don't know if I'll ever get rid of the Phantom Titan. I'll probably keep that Phantom Titan. It'll probably get buried with me. And so, yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. I think we learned something. I think we had a couple laughs. We got a title for the show, so we're good. Ishab. Thanks, Kris. Appreciate the great show tips, info, and all. Have a wonderful weekend as well. The rest of the Monkey viewers, see you next weekend. Lord of Midgets. Hey, guys, we had this already, but LOL, didn't pre-order, but about no, I didn't buy the games with bad policies for the user. Yeah, I mean, but play the game. I mean, like, what else are you going to do? You know? It's hours and hours of fun. And it's hours and hours of fun. And the price it's only $40. $40. That was 40 Canadian I spent. So it can't be that much US. So, yeah. Anyway. Send your questions, comments, emails, love letters, whatever, to Kris@miniwargaming.com. It's in the description below. Join us on Facebook. Just type in Way the Brush in Facebook and join us there. Again, I post pictures of what I'm working on, get suggestions. Like right now I'm working on, I was asking everybody's opinion on what to do for these Aegis walls. So yeah, and of course you can always post your work there as well if you want. Way the Brush t-shirts, if you want to look nice and manly, like the individuals you see in the intro, of course they all look manly. And, you want to look like a connoisseur of everything that is good and right in this world, then, of course, you're wearing a Way of the Brush t-shirt. Way of the Brush t-shirt. So take care of your brushes. They'll take care of you. And I will see you guys next week in another exciting episode of Way of the Brush. Way of the Brush.